Transgender bathroom bills are back. Does the nation care? That was a Majority Report joke, by the way, for anyone who didn't know. So this is a photo of an all-gender family restroom. A transgender bathroom ban in North Carolina caused a national uproar in 2016. Bruce Springsteen, Cyndi Lauper, Nick Jonas, and a long list of other A-list performers canceled shows in the state. Global corporations and Deutsche Bank and PayPal torpedoed plans to expand and carry in Charlotte. The NCAA moved its scheduled championship games elsewhere. Now, 8 years later, after Utah passed a similar bill on Monday, the reaction beyond the state borders appears to be more of a shrug. Neither of Utah's largest businesses released statements in response to the legislation. Tens of thousands of out-of-towners and an ensuing economic boost were just heading home from the Sundance Film Festival, held annually in Park City. Global sensation and queer icon Bad Bunny is slated to headline a concert in Salt Lake City in upcoming weeks. Next month, Salt Lake City will be hosting first and second round games in the NCAA men's basketball tournament. Representatives for the NCAA, Bad Bunny, and Sundance did not immediately return requests for comment. Oh, hello, food shops. Hello. Maybe it's just because I'm internet poisoned, but I don't remember if this Bad Bunny is male or female. Do you remember, what's her name? Kira chats now? She used to go by Bad Bunny. Bad Bunny's male? What? Bruh. You gotta be kidding me. They're a music person? Oh my god. Oh my god. Oh my god. Okay. In fact, 9 other states passed so-called transgender bathroom bills in the years between those passed by North Carolina and Utah, with little fanfare as well. Allison Scott, who volunteered as an on-the-ground activist in North Carolina to fight HB 2, described this week's lackluster reaction to Utah's bathroom bill and the several others that have been passed in recent years as very telling. "We were all saying that with HB 2, it's not over," said Scott, who is also the director of Impact and Innovation for the Campaign for Southern Equality, an LGBTQ advocacy group. Now, here we are several years later, and we've seen these bills grow and increase year over year over year, and we're right back not only where we started, but worse. Where bathroom access is regulated. 11 states regulate bathroom access for transgender people. Ew! Okay, Kentucky, Tennessee, Alabama, Florida, Arkansas, Kansas, Oklahoma, Iowa, North Dakota, Idaho, and Utah. Crazy. Really fucking crazy. While the enactment of the Utah law has immediate implications for the state's trans community, the tepid response to its passage also reflects a broader retreat on transgender rights that less than a decade ago galvanized corporate America, elite sports, and Hollywood. Utah House Bill 257, which is titled Sex-Based Designations for Privacy, Anti-Bullying, and Women's Opportunities, limits transgender people's access to bathrooms in public schools and government-operated buildings. These include restrooms at Salt Lake City International Airport, which is managed by local government, and in Utah's public hospitals and universities. It also specifies the state's legal definition of male and female is based on a person's genitalia at birth rather than their gender identity. Oh, wow, fascinating. So what if they're intersex? They can use every bathroom if you're intersex in Utah. The bill makes exceptions for trans people who have received genital surgery and changed their gender marker to match their gender identity on their birth certificates. Oh, whoa, you actually have to transition to be trans. Amazing. What a fascinating idea. Critics of the legislation have said the law will create a dangerous situation for trans youth. Supporters of the legislation have argued that without a measure in place, men posing as trans women will go into women's public restrooms and commit sexual misconduct. Rep. Kira Birkeland, who sponsored the Utah law, said that the bill was necessary to close, quote, a giant loophole for predators, and will only criminally charge offenders who commit an offense of lewdness, as the bill states. If the people just go in and use the bathroom the way they're supposed to be used, they'll be fine. That has remained consistent throughout the bill, throughout any change, Birkeland said in a phone call. We're not targeting just people who are transgender or people who are like, I'm going to miss my flight. I'm going to duck into the men's bathroom because the line's shorter. Oh, okay. She also pushed back on criticism that the bill would create an environment where Utahns are policing trans people in public restrooms, pointing to a provision in the bill that would criminally charge people for falsely reporting trans people in public restrooms. We do not want to incentivize any vigilante people out there trying to be jerks, she said. The whole goal is just to ensure that everyone feels like they have a safe place to do private things. Erin Reed, a transgender journalist and advocate, pushed back on this, arguing that the legislation will create disruption for trans people regardless of the bill's specifics. People are not going to go through the fine points of a 12-page law, Reed said. More likely than not, you're just going to see trans people and cis people challenged in bathrooms. Well, I don't really know about that. I don't necessarily agree with this take by Erin Reed. I really disagree with this. Because it takes a certain type of person to walk up to somebody and confront them about what bathroom they're going to be using and stuff like that. And sure, I think the people who struggle to pass more will see more of that than less. But either way, it takes a very unique set of circumstances for something like that to happen. And if they're already cutting out exceptions for just like this bill is obviously written so that it's just talking about people who are committing crimes in bathrooms, right? And if anything, I think this somewhat protects trans people. I don't see the same uproar about this because it doesn't fit with other bathroom bills, right? Like, historically, the bathroom bills that we've seen will say that, no matter what, if your genitals are this, you need to go here. If your genitals are that, you need to go there, period, the end. No cutting it, right? But that's not what the Utah bill says, right? The Utah bill is actually trying to protect trans people by just simply saying, hey, once you transition, you can use that bathroom. If you have your ID, that's fine. Nobody's going to stand at a bathroom door and ID every person that goes in. It's just not going to happen, okay? We don't have to worry about that. That's not something that's going to happen. But it is going to add protections for trans people because these vigilantes, as they put it, will be punished for doing something like that. If it's just a trans person who's not bothering anyone, who cares, right? Anyway, aside from Utah and North Carolina, lawmakers in 9 other states have enacted similar legislation in recent years, including in Florida, Tennessee, and Kentucky, according to a tally by the Associated Press. I went to Tennessee recently for a wedding, and I used the women's restroom, and nobody gave a shit. The measures largely restrict trans people's access to restrooms solely in schools or in schools and government-operated buildings. But in North Carolina's law, HB 2 went further, barring trans people from using restrooms and changing facilities that match their gender identities in most public spaces. See, that's something we need to consider. That's something we need to worry about there, right? When this starts happening, that's where it goes a little bit too far, okay? Maybe I don't like that. I mean, it's funny to put on a single stall bathroom, right? Like the ones in Starbucks where you go into the restroom in Starbucks and it's just like one toilet and you lock the door. That would be funny to put on this, right? Not like a room that has a bunch of urinals and stuff like that. HB2, which was later partially repealed in 2017, also prevented local governments from passing LGBTQ non-discrimination measures and rendered then-existing protections, including one in Charlotte, moot. For this reason, the law affected a much broader segment of the population compared to today's bills, and therefore drew national ire, said Shannon Gilreath, a professor at Wake Forest University School of Law and a faculty member of the university's Gender and Sexuality program. When one's own interests are not directly compromised by some form of discrimination, one is less likely to respond or care, Gilreath said. I might not believe that's necessarily the right attitude to have, to do what's expedient versus to do what's right in a situation, but that's human nature. Some studies back Gilreath's line of reasoning. A survey from the nonpartisan research group Public Religion Research Institute, conducted last year, found an estimated 79% of Americans support anti-discrimination protections for LGBTQ people. Policies that largely favor trans Americans solely received significantly less support, the poll found. However, Americans who say they know at least one trans person are much more likely to support pro-trans policies, a 2022 survey from the Pew Research Center found. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is why it is so important for people to be public about their transition, right? Like I get making it through transition and wanting to stealth and stuff like that. At least have a conversation with me about it, right? At least talk to me about it, okay? At least come on the show and talk about your experience and stuff like that, because the more people that know a trans person, the more people who are going to support legislation that protects those people. So it's just how it goes. Reid said that what's changed from 2016 to now is that people and even billion-dollar corporations have become afraid of provoking the far right. I don't know if I agree with that either. She pointed to a group of conservative provocateurs who collectively have amassed tens of millions of social media followers, in part by stoking outrage over LGBTQ issues. In several instances, threats of violence have followed the subjects of posts made or amplified by the group of right-wing influencers. You know, that's just people being on social media, okay? That's just, honestly, leftists do it too. Honestly, leftists do it too. Just like we were talking about with the detransitioners earlier today. Is that leftists will dogpile these, easy targets, these things that the influencers that they follow retweet and quote tweet and stuff like that. It's just never ending. There's not too much difference there between extreme left-wing people and extreme right-wing people and how they engage in social media and how they target other people and harass other people. It's just about, does this person's views, does this person's beliefs align with mine? That's really what it's about. And if not, then they're an easy target, and I can say whatever I want to them and have no consequences whatsoever. That's what both sides believe. So, it's, like I said, it's not just the far right. The far left does this shit too. These people are scary, Reid said. If the NBA All-Star Game threatened to pull a game right now, in this atmosphere today, they'd get bomb threats from conservatives. I really don't know about that. It's so funny. This next paragraph talks about Dylan Mulvaney and Bud Light. I was literally just about to talk about this. Last year, bomb threats were made to Budweiser factories across the country after trans influencer Dylan Mulvaney's brand partnership with Bud Light created an online firestorm in pockets of right-wing social media. Target also pulled some of its LGBTQ-themed merchandise for Pride Month from its shelves last year after it said it received threats impacting our team members' sense of safety and well-being while at work. Some of this should just be pulled because it's cringe. You see this shirt in the bottom left? Trans people will always exist. This shirt is so cringe for so many reasons, okay? First, we've got the white and the pink text, and that's fine, okay? The white and the pink is fine down here. Can I pull this? Can I open this in a new tab? Open image in new tab. Let's do this, okay? Let's talk about this shirt right down here. You see this shirt right here? This is incredibly cringe, okay? So we have literally the green sleeves and the pink neck, right? And then we've got this font. This font is fine. The pink and the blue, that's fine, right? The white, that's fine. What the fuck is the yellow? Hello? What is the green here for? Not that I don't like green. Obviously, I love green. But what the fuck is this color scheme? You have 5 different colors of text here on this shirt. The only reason you should ever have 5 different colors of text on a shirt is if you're doing an irony thing. Right? And the green sleeves on this, this is so ugly. If I were a team member working at this Target, I just would not stock this shirt at all. This shirt gives trans people a bad name, okay? This is disgusting. This is gross. Look at this. Ah! Okay. Get it off my timeline. Reid also suggested that it might not be politically advantageous for Republicans to go against the grain when it comes to issues that affect trans people. Republican Ohio Governor Mike DeWine faced political blowback after vetoing a bill that would ban gender-affirming care for minors in the state in December. Former President Donald Trump urged Ohio state lawmakers to override the veto, writing on his social media platform Truth Social that he was finished with the Republican governor. Ohio senators overrode the governor's veto last week. In recent weeks, local activists had been unsure whether Utah Governor Spencer Cox would sign HB 257. Cox in 2022 vetoed legislation that aimed to limit transgender students' ability to compete on girls' sports teams in school, citing the disproportionate rate of suicidal ideation among trans kids. But since then, anti-LGBTQ political rhetoric and legislation have surged. Conservative lawmakers introduced more than 500 anti-LGBTQ bills in state legislatures across the country, according to a tally by the ACLU, with the majority of them targeting trans people. 75 of those bills became law, including a ban on gender-affirming care for minors in Utah, which Cox signed into law. Cox signed Utah's bathroom bill on Monday evening with little fanfare and issued a short statement after weeks of speculation on his position. "We want public facilities that are safe and accommodating for everyone, and this bill increases privacy protections for all," the statement read. The law is effective immediately. In addition to Utah, legislators in 5 states, South Carolina, Virginia, West Virginia, Kansas, and Iowa, have introduced their own bathroom bills, or legislation that further expands bathroom bills already on the books, according to the ACLU. Incredible. So I don't think this specific bathroom bill is all that bad. I don't think this one is too terrible. If you're going to do a bathroom bill, I think this is the way you need to do it. Because, as much as I disagree with the color scheme of that shirt, trans people will always exist. And lawmakers need to realize that. Like, you're not going to legislate away trans people. You just can't do it. We'll go to the Ukrainian website and order a DIY HRT if that's what we need to do. But if you want to keep the money in this economy, best way to do that is to just acknowledge the fact that we're not going anywhere.